Our community is steeped in military tradition and enriched with a strong military presence. We in turn honor that service at the Veterans Memorial Park in downtown Pensacola, with monuments already established and others yet to come. Joining me now with the latest news about the park and its future activities is President of the Board of Directors of the Veterans Memorial Park, Jack Brown. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jeff. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm very proud.
Y'all are doing lots of great stuff, but for some who may not know as much about what's going on currently, tell us a little bit about the park, its history, and kind of what it means for the area.
Well, the park had its birth with the traveling Vietnam Wall that came through town back in 1987. Up until that time, we didn't have a park. But when that wall came through, it made such an impression on people that the Vietnam veterans of this community got together and felt that we should have a permanent wall. So that effort took about 5 years, and in 1992 that wall was dedicated. It's still the only permanent wall for the Vietnam Wall outside of Washington, D.C. Wow. It's a half-scale replica of the one that's up there.
What about visitors and traffic? A lot of people come by, I would imagine.
I'm never there. I don't see people. And of course, as the park has grown, it's gotten to be a much nicer place to spend time, because the city has the Admiral Mason Park that's just adjacent to the park has been beautified. The walk goes all the way around there. It's just a wonderful place to spend a half hour, to be active, to walk, and to be in the presence of the people we honor there, because they're always there with you.
Well, you mentioned the wall. What other memorials are at the park?
Well, besides the Vietnam Wall, we have a World War I memorial, which was pre-existing. The city moved it to the park once the wall south was installed there. We have a monument to World War II, and also one to World War to the Korean War, the Korean conflict. We have some smaller memorials, a Purple Heart memorial, a remembrance for the men who manned the rescue submarines during World War II and picked up down flyers off. In fact, our first President Bush was one of the Navy pilots rescued by that group.
Interesting.
And that's where it stands now, and I guess you'll ask me shortly what's coming.
Was my next question.
Okay.
So yeah, so we've talked about where we've been. Now, where are we headed?
Well, we've been active. Of course, Memorial Day is in May, and that's one of the special days in May. It's on the 26th. Our program will be on the 25th, which is a Sunday. We hope to, by the time that program comes up, that we will have a Revolutionary War memorial in place.
Great.
And the kiosk, a replacement for the old kiosk, or the computer that was in a stainless steel enclosure that people could look up names on the wall. We're going to have a replacement for that that's going to far exceed it in scope, and it's going to be very modern with touchscreens and architecturally blend into the lines of the wall, and we hope to have that completed also. So those are two things we look forward to showing off for the city.
Now, the kiosk, tell us a little bit about what someone would actually be able to do with that.
Well, of course, the original intention was just to be able to look up the place on the wall for names.
Okay, it's like which section.
But it will still it'll serve other than just the wall south now. We will have running tapes that show the history of the park, explain the different monuments, allow people to interact, and allow people to make donations, because we operate and exist on donations. We don't use tax money to maintain the park.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about the role of the Board of Directors. I know you've got a really dedicated group.
We have a very dedicated group and a fine group of men and women, and our role is to administer and govern the park for the city. We operate under license with them. The City Council validated that license back in November. So we've been at it now about 6 months. And we report directly to the mayor as the executive officer of the city. And just sort of keep an eye on the park, keep it maintained, keep the grass growed, facilitate its growth. And
well, I know you're a veteran yourself, but how did you get personally involved in this particular park project?
Well, I'm retired now, so I had the time. And when a couple of years ago, it's been almost 2 years now, the mayor asked me to chair a steering committee to look at problems that were happening at the park and to prepare a vision for the future of the park, to concentrate on looking forward. So I came in and did that, and one of our recommendations was to form a not-for-profit foundation to take over responsibility of the park, and he accepted that recommendation and asked me to head it, so that's what I'm doing. And that's our purpose. We don't have members other than the members of the board of directors. We're not a membership foundation. But that's our role.
Okay. Well, I understand you're a veteran of the Marine Corps, and someone told me there was some name, Master Blaster, that you went by at some point.
Well,
You care to expand on that, or do you allow us to move on?
Well, I was a fighter pilot, and I'm always happy. I'll always fit that in somewhere in a conversation because every fighter pilot wants you to know it. But pilots of tactical aircraft have handles or call signs that we use on the air, and generally these names are not names that you pick for yourself. It's what people pick for you. And Blaster sounds real macho, but it really goes back to my days as a midshipman when I threw a firecracker out of the window of Bancroft Hall during study hour and had a heart-to-heart with my battalion officer and spent several weekends restricting. So that's where the name comes from.
There's a story, huh?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that with us. Well, let's talk about y'all's website. I know you have a new website that has lots of information, and as we were talking about, they're always evolving and more to come. But tell us a little bit about the website.
Well, the website has been a work in process, and it was one of the first things, of course, that we put up because that's how we can get the public to know more about our site and be aware of it. It's always surprising to me how many people in Pensacola have never visited the park. I mean, actually, it's almost shocking. But the website helps people to get acquainted with it because it gives some information about each and every memorial and about the history of the park, information about the board, short bios and photographs are going up here within the next week or so.
Great.
And it keeps growing, but it's getting more and more state of the art and something that we're now very proud of. And I just invite everybody to visit it.
Y'all are getting a lot done. Well, before we go real quick, let's cover any certain plans you have for Memorial Day.
Memorial Day is going to be a special event. Now, we never call it a celebration, and the celebrations happen on Veterans Day. Memorial Day is a more solemn and somber event because its whole purpose is to remember those who have died in the service of their country, and that's what our park exists to do. Our speaker this year is retired Marine General William Nyland, who his handle is Spider, and once you meet General Nyland, that's what you call him because that's the way he introduced himself. He was a Deputy Commandant of the Marine Corps, so he was held a very responsible position. We're really looking forward to him being there to speak. We're going to present a plaque to the family of Staff Sergeant Jesse Thomas, our most recent local death in the war against terror, and that plaque will be installed on the wall that lines the entrance to the park itself. And we'll have some, it's just going to be a very wholesome experience with a lot of people there. The mayor will be there, the city council. We'll have representatives from all local government, including the county, and from the major commands at the Naval Air Station.
Well, great. Sounds like y'all have a lot of activities planned and the park is proceeding, and just thank you very much. Y'all are doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Well, you're welcome.